My name is Justin Martin. I'm the Education and Outreach Coordinator here at Ohio Recovery Housing. You're watching a digital version, a recording of our Outcomes Tools training. These are powerful tools that allow you to track the data of residents, that allow you to see what you can do better as an organization, and that allow you to brag to various stakeholders in your community, your local legislatures, etc., about the great work that you're doing as a recovery home. If you've taken this training before, it's worth watching again because we've recently moved to the RHOADS platform, so things are a little different. If you've never taken this training before, welcome, and we'll get started here. Since this is not a live training, any questions that you have about the outcomes tools should be directed to that email you see on your screen. That's outcomes@ohiorecoveryhousing.org. I know this isn't the most exciting material on the face of the earth, but please be attentive. Making a mistake in the outcomes tool might not only mess up your data, but somebody else's as well. So please pay attention so that you can use these tools appropriately. A little bit of an agenda for the day. First of all, we're going to go over who's eligible for these tools, how to register for them. Then we're going to go over the two parts of our outcomes tools, which are the resident survey and the data dashboard. Normally, if this were a live webinar, I'd answer questions afterward, but because it is not, again, just outcomes at ohiorecoveryhousing.org. We'll get all your questions answered. So why participate in the outcomes tools in the first place? There's really two reasons. Uh, let's think of it like a series of questions. What good things are you doing that we don't know about at ORH, or that the state doesn't know about? What trends or warnings might you be seeing on the ground that we don't see at ORH or the state doesn't see? The Outcomes Tool Survey helps us stay connected to you. And unfortunately, a lot of our friends in the state legislature don't necessarily understand what recovery housing is or what you guys deal with on a daily basis or the good outcomes that you guys end up having. So getting this data, every couple of years we do a report that allows us to paint a picture for the community about why they should have well-funded recovery housing in their area. Also, just from your perspective, you can sit down as a staff and have conversations like, oh, women seem to have a different experience of this recovery home than men do. Or, oh, our elderly residents tend to have a different experience from our younger residents. Or our Black residents tend to have a different experience than our white residents. What might we do to improve that and improve ourselves? What's already working great? What's not working so great? So these outcomes tools are great as a tool for self-reflection among your staff. Couple of things we found in the last survey that we did. Obviously, as one would hope, we found that staying in a recovery home for at least 6 months decreased people's likelihood that they would use alcohol or other illicit substances. We found increased employability. People were getting better paying jobs that were closer to what they said they wanted. Increased economic well-being. They were taking money on, but also improved relationships with their friends, with their family, with their community. So again, the great thing about these tools is it allows us to have some hard data, hard evidence about all of these great trends that we can then communicate to people that might not know. So be a part of this important initiative. And the way that you do that is actively and purposely having each of your residents complete the resident survey. We'll talk about that in a second. In terms of eligibility, the outcomes tool is for absolutely anyone who's currently operating recovery housing in the state of Ohio. You don't need to be certified. You don't need to be getting funding from your county board. All that you have to do is what you're doing right now, which is successfully attending the outcomes tools training. Quick definition of recovery housing. I understand a lot of you may know this already, but depending on who's watching this, this might be helpful. Recovery housing is housing for individuals who are recovering from alcoholism or drug addiction. It's going to provide them with a couple of things. Obviously, it's going to provide them an alcohol and drug-free living environment, but it's also going to provide them what we call peer support. That is, other people in the house that are also in recovery and that are also invested in that other person's recovery. It's going to offer assistance with obtaining alcohol and drug addiction services and other alcoholism and drug addiction recovery assistance. This is from the Ohio Revised Code, which, if you're not familiar, is just our collection of laws in the state. So, what is a recovery home in the state of Ohio? Recovery housing is three things. Like we just mentioned, it's an alcohol and drug free living environment. This is really important. It's for people with substance use disorders. There might be other reasons why somebody um, lacks access to a home right now. Maybe they're a veteran, maybe they have a physical or mental disability, maybe they're low income, but they must have a substance use disorder in order to access recovery housing. And lastly, like I mentioned before, recovery housing is going to provide that community of other people who are also recovering and also interested in each other's recovery. You might also hear this referred to as the social model of recovery. Any recovery house that's operating in Ohio is eligible to have access to the outcomes tools. So there are two parts to these outcome tools. There's the resident survey and the data dashboard. They each have some separate things going on. So we're going to take care of each of them in turn. First of all, the resident survey. This is the most important thing in the training, probably. It's going to be completed by the residents. We want to know their opinions of their stay in your recovery home. You shouldn't be feeding them answers. These should be completed by the residents. Now we understand that occasionally you're going to have a resident who maybe has an English language barrier or is maybe not the best at using technology. It's okay to offer help to that resident, but they should be able to pick who they want to sit there and help them. And even if somebody is helping them, those answers need to come from the resident. We want their experience and their opinions. That survey is going to be completed at three different time periods: at move in, 6 months into the residence stay, and then at move out. We'll talk in a little bit about what to do if one of those checkpoints is not hit. The survey is going to be sent to the residents by the operator. It's going to be sent via email, text, or pulled up on a laptop in person. The data dashboard, like the resident survey, is available in RHOADS, but unlike the resident survey, it's available for staff only. It lets you download data, which is useful for grants and other reports to show in the community. And the password is set by your organization. Let's take a look at the resident survey. Like I said, it's a resident driven survey. That means it's completed by the resident. It's online in RHOADS, sent via text or email, completed at those three time points: move in, 6 months, move out. It also does not gather personal information. It's going to ask a couple of different questions. First of all, it's going to ask about demographics, things like race, age, gender, sexual orientation. It's going to ask about addiction history. How long have you been addicted? What substance or substances are you dependent on? It's going to ask about their previous living situation. Were they in a recovery home? Did they live with family? Did they live with a partner? It's also going to ask their destination at move out. Do they want to live in their own apartment? Do they want to continue living in sobriety housing? What does recovery look like for them? It's going to ask about their economic and their social circumstances. Do they have debts? Medical debt, student loans, any sort of other outstanding debt? Do they have the documentation that they need? One of the reasons why this survey, these tools are really important is because sometimes when they first started, we didn't understand the work that operators were doing to get their residents documentation. But then residents told us and operators told us, hey, when my resident came in here, they had no birth certificate, they had no driver's license, they had no state ID. So without these things, it was hard for them to vote. It was hard for them to access government services. And so I was able to put the work in to get them all of that required documentation. Now that we know that that's the thing that all of you do all day and work so hard on, it's in our outcomes tool survey. So again, that's a good point about why your feedback. Going to ask about their education and employment, both how educated they are now. Did they graduate high school? Did they have a GED? Do they have a bachelor's? Do they have a master's? It's also going to ask what kind of education they want. Do they feel like they're done? Do they want more? It's going to ask the same thing about employment. What job do they currently have, if any? Are they looking? Do they want a better job? It's going to ask about their experience with recovery and recovery supports. Is this their first time in recovery housing? Have they been in prior recovery homes? It's going to ask about their recovery capital. For those of you that are unfamiliar with that term, that's just what resources can a person draw on to sustain their recovery, to keep it going. So that could be family, friends, their sober kickball league. That could be, oh, I'm really into pottery and that helps keep me grounded. That could be my religious faith or whatever, however they find community. Anything that's going to help them stay in recovery. And lastly, and most importantly, it's going to ask them questions about their experience as a resident on that move out survey. What did we do well? What could we do better so that you and your staff can reflect on their experience? You're going to get to this survey by going to RHOADS, that's RHOADS.orh.ai. If you're not registered, you'll have to register. Um, it could be possible that your CEO or whoever you call the top layer of your organization already has registered. Um, but once registered, you're going to be able to go there all the time to access your data. So I'd bookmark it in your browser. If you have not registered your dwellings in RHOADS, that's each of your individual houses. I want to go over how to do that really quickly. You're going to hit this green certification management gear button on the left-hand side of your screen. Again, some of you may have done this already. If that's the case, skip this step. But for those of you that haven't, keep watching. You're going to be taken to a screen that looks like this, and you're going to hit that add dwelling button that I've highlighted in red on the right side of your screen with a little plus sign. Once you've done that, it's going to open up this panel on the right side of your screen. You're going to answer questions like how many of each type of room there are, how many bedrooms are there. You're going to answer what gender or genders you serve in this particular house. If you provide support for medication assisted treatment, and if so, how much? Um, and then you're going to do all of these check boxes. Once you've done that, and once you've specified whether your property is leased or owned, you're going to hit that save button, the white save button with the blue outline that I've drawn a box around it in the bottom right corner. Okay, now, regardless of where you were in terms of registering things, everybody should be registered now. So we're going to go back to roads.orh.ai, but now we're going to click on outcomes, which is that far right gray, blue, bar graphy looking tab. To start off with, we're going to hit this purple box that says surveys. I've highlighted it in red here. It's on the right-hand side of your screen. This is really important. Select the correct time interval for your survey. The vast majority of the time, you're going to click the blue button in the top right. This is going to send the survey to a resident because remember, residents should fill out their own surveys. Otherwise, you're going to hit the orange button. You're only going to do this when a staff member is filling out a move out survey because one of their residents left abruptly. You're going to want to, as I mentioned, choose the right time interval. There are three to choose from once you've hit one of those buttons. Move in, 6 months, or move out. You actually have a 2 week grace period on either side of that 6 month mark and that move out mark. So if you want to do it 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after 6 months, you can do it that way. If you want to do it 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after move out, you can do it that way. If they don't fill out things in time, don't go back in time and do the survey. Just do whatever they can do. If you can only get a 6 month survey, that's great. If you can only get a move out survey, that's also great. Next, from that drop down menu, you're gonna have that arrow on the right hand side. You're gonna make sure you click the right house. So if your organization only has the single home, this won't be an issue. But for those of you whose organizations have multiple homes, you're gonna make sure you're clicking the right house to send to your resident. If your organization does not have names for individual houses, you have to make them up when you register in RHOADS. So you might call one the Maple Street house and another one the North Street house. Then you're going to want to choose a residence identifier. Um, if the resident has privacy concerns, they're welcome to leave this blank. All that it does is remind you that you need to resend a survey link to somebody. So I would use a unique identifier such as a alias or a serial number. Once you've filled that with something, you're going to hit generate link. And then it's going to pull up a window that says send one-time survey link. You can do this in one of a couple of ways. You can either type the resident's phone number into that blank box and hit send. You can type the resident's email address in that blank box and hit send. Or you can select fill out survey now, that third button on the far right. If you literally just want to turn your laptop around and have them take the survey on your laptop. Two important cautions. The survey links do expire within 24 hours. So if a resident doesn't complete the survey within 24 hours, you're going to need to send a new link. Also, a survey link only leads to that resident survey. That means if I send a link to Fred and then I want to send another survey to Daphne, I actually need a new link. Fred's link is not going to work for Daphne and vice versa. The resident must click submit when they get to the bottom of the survey. If residents do not select the submit button and close out of the window, the data that's entered is not saved and will be lost. It's the organization's responsibility to make sure that residents know how to complete the survey. If you have a resident who you know struggles with English or struggles with technology, sit with them for the first question or two, or get a trusted friend to do so, a friend that they trust, so that they know how to do this survey. So let's take a brief look at the Outcomes Tool resident survey. I'm going to actually go back one so that you guys can see. Logged into RHOADS, I'm going to hit Outcomes, this far right bar graph button. I'm going to hit Survey, which is this purple right hand box. I'm 99% of the time, remember, I'm hitting this blue button that says send a survey to us. I'm going to select survey stage. Let's say this is 6 months. Then I'm going to select house. Let's say I want to send it to ZZZ Simple. Then I'm going to write a name or identifier for the resident. I'm going to use fake name. So John, generate link, hit that blue button. And then I'm going to hit either their phone number or their email. I am going to use my number here. I'm going to hit. I'm going to hit send. And then hopefully this shows up on my screen. You guys won't be able to see this for a second. It just sent a text message to my phone. And so I'm going to go into my text messages. And I'm going to open this link. It's going to take you to a page that looks like that. They can either accept or not accept. Um, every question has the ability to opt out if they don't want to answer it. But it's up to them whether they accept. If they do, they're going to hit accept. You're going to double check to make sure it's the right organization name and the right individual dwelling or house name and the right time period. So 6 months, then they're going to hit that blue arrow down at the start here. I'm not going to take you through the whole survey, but you can see how each of these questions has multiple choice and prefer not to answer. If they try to go on without selecting something for each question, it's going to give them an error message and have them fill out the question. All right, let's go back to our slides. Now we're going to look at the data dashboard. Again, to get here, you're going to go to Outcomes Tools, your little bar graph, but then you're going to hit the left-hand blue Outcomes Dashboard. Your executive director, or whoever's at the top of your organization, is going to decide who within the organization has access to the data. You might want everyone on one account, like data@sunshinehouse.org, or you might have individual accounts for staff, like Dave@sunshine.org. That's up to your executive director or your top person. The data dashboard is going to allow you to do a couple of cool things. First of all, you can filter by category. If you look on the left-hand side where I've drawn that red box, you can say, I only want to see how long they've been in recovery, or how many of them have jobs, or how many of them come from any sort of minority population. You can also filter by date range. You're going to hit that second red box that I've highlighted on the left-hand side of your screen. Once you've selected two dates, start date and end date, you're going to hit that blue apply button that I've highlighted. You can also filter by house. That's the third and final box. Select your house from the drop-down menu in red that I've highlighted, and then hit that reset button once you are done looking at just that particular house. This is only for when you want to focus on one or two, a couple of particular houses. Brief caution about bandwidth. When you download data, it's usually a lot of data. I would open the outcomes tools from the room in your home with the best Wi-Fi. If you have any issues downloading data after you've shown some patience, I would email outcomes@ohiorecoveryhousing.org and we can download your data for you. If you forget your dashboard password, you're going to go to the top right of your main screen on RHOADS, click your name, click reset password, enter a new password, re-enter the new password under confirm, make sure they match, and then hit that green reset button. Let's take a look at the data dashboard. So I'm going to go back out here. Your data dashboard will look like this. You're going to hit the blue on the left-hand side. Now you can already see I can sort by just demographic questions. I can sort by recovery questions, and then there are three tabs at the top here that show me different data. And in any of these tabs, I can hit this orange download chart data button, and that'll download an Excel sheet to my downloads folder. Again, to demo date ranges for you, I could say I want data that starts in April of 2025 and ends today, May 4th. Then I would just hit that apply button in white. That's what that looks like. Or I could select just data from wrong sample. That's in that third box down there. And then when I'm done and I want to see it from everything again, I can hit reset. Um, you can use the Ask ORH for help or the support request button to get support from us or from Mighty Crow, our web developers. If you do have issues, because this is a new system, first of all, I know it's dumb advice, but try logging out and then logging back in. Try to make sure to use Google Chrome or Firefox as your web browser. I also have had luck with Microsoft Edge. Take a screenshot of any problems that you have. You can do that with the print screen key on your keyboard or by going down to your toolbar and searching for snipping tool. Contact ORH. Again, that email is outcomes at ohiorecoveryhousing.org. And if we can physically see what's happening on your screen, we will do our best to help you. Again, as a little quick review, step one, register for RHOADS at the end of the training. Then to get to your dashboard, go to outcomes and then hit that left-hand blue square. Again, just as a very brief overview, you got the resident survey and the data dashboard, two separate parts. One, the resident survey is completed by residents, those 3 time periods, sent to residents by you, the operator, via email, text, or pulled up on your laptop in person. Data dashboard is also available in RHOADS, but it is for staff only. It allows you to download data for grants, etc., and the password is set by your org. Just a little bit about county board access. County board members may apply for access to recovery home data in their specific area. You would have to get what's called civic stakeholder access. This is outside the scope of today's training, but if any folks from the county are watching, feel free to email me at justin@ohiorecoveryhousing.org or call me at 614-505-2516. That's 614-505-2516. I can get you more info. If you do sign up for county access, your county will be able to see, not be able to see your complete dashboard, but obviously if your home is the only recovery home in a given area, they're going to know it's you. There's no real way around that. Again, just a brief summary. Who's eligible? Any recovery house in Ohio. You've got your resident survey, which is move in 6 months and moved out. Found on RHOADS. Also found on RHOADS is the data dashboard, where survey results are, where you can download your data. Registration is super easy. If you still have questions, contact again outcomes at ohiorecoveryhousing.org or 614-453-5133. You can also contact me, Justin at ohiorecoveryhousing.org, 614-505-2516, or for county board specific reporting requirements. You can contact your local county board, or you can contact our friend Caitlin Wagoner at Ohio DBH. That's Caitlin.Wagoner at dbh.ohio.gov, 614-752-9077. I hope this answered all of your questions. Thank you for attending this training, and thank you for collecting resident data with outcomes tools.